Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Bringing Brownsville Change and Brownsville Cheezmeh, I want to thank you for attending today's forum and expressing your avid interest in the local political process. It's very important that you remain engaged, and when you go to vote, that you have an educated vote. So I want to thank everyone here for being here, for doing that, and making sure that you're ready for the voting process. My name is Melissa Zamora. I'm District 3 Commissioner for the City of Brownsville. I'm one of the moderators today. To my left is Mr. Igor Rendon, Trustee for Texas Southmost College. And to my right is founder of Brownsville Cheezmeh. And I said this yesterday, I'm going to say it again. Some people call him famous, others call him infamous, depending on what issue they're writing about the day. Erasmo Castro. Did everyone have an opportunity to submit their questions? We have a few submitted questions already. Thank you for your questions. Joining us today is Pastor Brad Burks with the Embassy of the Spirit Church. He will provide today's invocation.
Let's bow our heads to pray. Let's go ahead and everybody stand to pray. Father God, we thank you so much for this wonderful country we're blessed to live in. Lord, I ask you to help each of us realize our own responsibilities in continuing to make it great. Lord, I ask you to lead and guide the voters in this election. Give us the leaders you desire us to have. And Lord, we ask that the process be a good one tonight. Help us to learn what we need to learn about the candidates, and help each of us to treat each other with respect as we learn. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Burks. Our candidates for sheriff joining us today are Mr. Terry Benson, and we also have Mr. Josie Sniddles. Thank you for joining us today. Before we get started, every forum should have at least a couple of rules to make sure everyone remains professional and respectful. Rule number 1, your response should be your response and nobody else's. In the event you name another person, that person will have 30 seconds to provide a rebuttal. And that includes the moderators. I didn't have that opportunity yesterday when Judge Elia mentioned my name, if you recall when you were here. Rule number 2, be professional and respectful. No yelling, no screaming, and that goes for the audience too. Thank you. We're going to start with introductions from each candidate. You will have 2 minutes to provide an introduction on your platform, etc. Going first, we'll have Mr. Terry Benson.
Normally I don't use these, I do a lot of instruction. My name is Terry Benson. I'm originally from Indiana. I came down in 1983 to the Valley. Made an application, got hired at Marshall Russo. I've been here ever since. I run business training school, which was established in 1988. I do training for several companies out of Etsy, which are out of Alaska. I do training for AdSense, they're out of Corpus. I do training right now, the training coordinator and quality control officer for Education Security Services out of New York. Right now I run about 300 personnel in training and make sure they have everything they need to get their jobs done. I've been in law enforcement since 1976. I know that's a long time. But I think we need some changes here in Cameron County. I truly believe we need to cut spending with the Cameron County Sheriff's Department. We need to find means and ways to bring more money into the Sheriff's Department without being taxed on. I'm a taxpayer, and I just can't pay enough. Another issue we need to look at is Cameron County employees haven't received any pay raises. The main reason the pay raises aren't being given is going to be about $1.5 million to give it 3% across the board. But every year, the The sheriff's department has to take that money, put it back into a budget which has been overspent year after year after year. This has to come to an end. We need to stop this. You know, and there are plenty of ways of doing it. You have commissary, $750,000 going out, nothing coming back. Bring it back to the sheriff's office. One thing, work release programs for minor offenders, $30 a week processing fee. Let these guys continue going to work. Let them support their families. But other things, well, I'm sure we can discuss later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Benson. Next, providing an introduction is Mr. Cheezmeh.
First of all, I want to take a moment of silence for our fallen heroes that have sacrificed their life for us. So please join me with a moment of silence for our fallen heroes that have sacrificed their life for us here and for our freedom. Thank you. I want to thank the Cheezmeh for organizing this forum for us so that we can get the opportunity to know y'all and y'all to know us. A little bit about me. Well, first of all my brothers and sisters were born in Harlingen. So, my parents were minors, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud. They were all born in Harlingen except me. I was born in Virginia. But I was raised in Harlingen. I was raised in the Valley. I graduated from Brownsville High School, attended Pan American University, and from there, I transferred to North Texas State University. In 1980, I graduated from the DPS Academy. I was stationed as a trooper in Floresville, Grand City, and Harlingen. In 1989, I promoted to the Criminal Law Enforcement Division, which is in the auto theft, a sergeant in the auto theft section. I did auto theft investigations along with fraud, narcotics, and assisted in several murder investigations. I had the opportunity to work hand in hand with several local, state, and federal agencies. As a matter of fact, I traveled all over the U.S. from the Valley all the way to Florida, to Miami, Florida, to Los Angeles, California, and New York, following up on our investigations. In 2000, our governor of Texas, George W. Bush, was running for president. I had the opportunity and privilege to provide dignitary protection to him and his family for a whole year. We need a 24/7 sheriff. Okay, 2 minutes real quick.
That was 2 minutes. Yes, you are correct. Thank you.
You'll have 1 minute to respond to the questions, and we'll start with you, Mr. Cisneros. The department is a very large department, so could you share with us what background you have with budgets and management of personnel that has prepared you for this position you aspire for?
In 1989, I was promoted to the sergeant for the Border Theft Service. I was also assigned to the Auto Theft Task Force, and we worked with $1 million budget, and I had 24 officers under my jurisdiction. So that covered, it was a multi-agency task force covering from Harlingen, Edward, Grand City, even Zapata, all the way around.
Myself, I've been involved in law enforcement for quite a few years. I have run several different departments. Most departments I ran, the last department I ran, I was 30% under budget. The whole principle of the budget is simply spending the money you have and not spending money you don't have. Manage your line items and ensuring that the personnel have what they need with what you got, not what you can do.
Most recently, employees of the Sheriff's Department tried to establish collective bargaining. What are your thoughts on collective bargaining? And let us know why you support it or why you don't support it. First, this question goes to Mr. Benson.
Yeah, I'm familiar with unions. I come from union well versed with CBAs and how they operate, the rules and regulations that fall under with them. Collective bargaining can be a plus, but also it can be a nightmare, depending on how it's handled. It depends on what the employees are allowed to do. A lot of, as you know, a lot of agencies throughout the country that's pretty much bankrupt their city governments because of the collective bargaining. Again, it depends entirely on how it's handled and how it's going to be run. By pro and cons, I'm pro if it's handled properly. I'm con if they think it's going to take full advantage of the taxpayers of the county.
I support the collective bargaining, especially here in Cameron County, because this is the area in the whole nation that everyone here, Cameron County is the lowest paid county in the whole nation. So our officers need to be compensated. Yes, collective bargaining has its pros and its cons, but presently, the average salary in the valley or pressure in Cameron County is about $20,000. And you know, we're talking $20,000 is not enough. It's not, I mean, deputies get about 30-some thousand plus overtime. But on the average, like I said, Cameron County, for the whole nation, we're all underpaid. So we need all the help we can get and try to get the funds we need.
We have one question that was submitted from an audience member, and it reads, the sheriff's office has been taken to court several times recently, as other government agencies have as well. Obviously, this costs the taxpayers money. What are measures you will do to prevent this from happening?
So we provide our employees with the proper training. The vicarious liability does not land on the hiring agency or the department. So we have to provide the proper training so that we can avoid these unjustly and uncostly situations.
I have to agree with Joe. I'm a training officer. That's what I've been doing. I train California, Arizona, New Mexico, New York. Training is a must. But what we need, particularly for training, is policy and the enforcement of the policies to ensure that the deputies are doing what they should be doing, not what they want to do. And strict enforcement on policy and procedures would be a plus to any agency. But having the policies established and in place has to be done immediately upon taking office. Thank you.
We understand that jail overcrowding is a big problem here in South Texas, but we've also heard that another big problem is getting people out after they've been released. Processing them out takes a long time, and every day they're there, it costs the county money. There's also the time that supposed to pass before, from going from arrest to the time that they're charged. Sometimes the limits of those dates pass. What can you recommend to be done to change this?
Well, the Constitution, we've got certain, under Speedy Trial Act, we have a certain time when things need to be done. Not being done is not, it's management's fault. Management should be on top of this. They should stay on top of it. Processing detainees out of the facility, especially once they've been ordered for release, is a major liability issue on civil rights violations under the 84th Amendment and 14th. They're all going to run under this. They're strict violations, due process. So we have to ensure that when these people are ordered released, they can get out. And again, this is a management issue that needs to be dealt with.
I know that the sheriff's department, especially the jail, has too many chiefs and not enough deputies. Everybody's wanting to tell people what to do, but no one's doing it. Unfortunately, there was one lady that lost her life because she was kept too long, too late after her court proceeding, after she was released from court. She got on 511, and unfortunately, she got hit by a car and she got killed. What they need to make sure, what we need is make sure that the officers that are working there, once the order is given by the courts, that person, in my opinion, is a free person. And like Terry Vincent says, the civil rights violations are being violated. The longer you hold them, you start violating civil rights. There is a process that has to go through, but if we can expedite that process and make sure that management and these individuals are doing their job properly, we'll get them out. And not only after they get released, if they're from out of town, I would provide transportation for them.
Of the contracts of significance with the Sheriff's Department is the commissary contract. As with larger contracts with various governmental entities, sometimes an extension on contracts that have already ended is approved without a process, without a bidding process. It is a common practice, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best practice. This has been the case on occasion with the Sheriff's Department. What are your thoughts on this bidding process and on getting the best rate for the county considering budget constraints?
I believe what you're trying to say is compadrismo. I mean, I believe that's how that system works. If you're in the commissary right now, you're running it, you're going to get that contract again. I know there is a tight relation with the individuals that have the commissary and the sheriff right now. The bidding process, that's what it's for, so that other people can have the opportunity to come in and provide a more efficient. We can provide a more efficient system, and we can make it where not a certain individual is making money, but why not keep it within the sheriff's office? Why don't we get people that work for us assigned? All they got to do is go to Sam's and buy their bulk material and provide these individuals with the needed items for the commissary. The county is losing out on all of that money. These people don't have to make megabucks just for running the commissary.
As I was reading, the commissary brought in $750,000 from a 300% markup. That means that the total cost of the operation is $250,000. Means $500,000 went to a contract. I would like to bring it back in-house. The money needs to come to Cameron County and stay in Cameron County. Cameron County employees are handling the books. Cameron County employees are authorized releasing the funds and paying the commissary funds. Why not just turn it right back into the county? Why do we have to have a 300% markup? We can have it too and still make profit funds. I could hire 5 people, run the commissary at $125,000 a year, or a little more, $150,000 a year, and still clear $350,000. You know, how hard is that to figure out? We need to bring it back in-house, and we need to bring the prisoners back into Cameron County. We put out $200,000 for these prisoners to be out of county. We need to come back, we need to push and get our jail standards back.
Following question was submitted to our group. The Cameron County Commissioners in Court have hired a company to study our jails and make a recommendation on whether to turn over control of our jails and prisoners to a private company. This company would hire their own people and run it as they saw fit, basically answering to themselves. Would you, if elected as sheriff, support such a move? Why or why not?
Right, I train detention facilities and officers to private contractors. The cost is very high to run the facilities. If you also look at, go back and look, you'll see a lot of lawsuits been filed against some of these other private companies because of maltreatment, mistreatment of prisoners and detainees. Sheriff, his job is to maintain the prisoners, maintain the jail. All we need to do is get it back up to operational position and fill our jail back up with our own prisoners. That's what we need to do. We don't need to be dependent on somebody else. Thank you.
The responsibility lands on the sheriff. The responsibility lands on the sheriff. And I don't believe in privatizing the jail system because I'm going a little, like, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little, but I'm being honest. No, the sheriff should take control of the jail and operate it in an efficient way. Every day, every month, $200,000 are spent by sending inmates out of the county. That's how much it costs the county. And as far as the county spending money, doing the survey, there's no need for that. If we have people that are trained to do their proper job in the right position, we don't have to get somebody else from the outside, hire someone, pay them so they can do a survey. We have qualified people that work here, so we need to make sure that we give them that responsibility. Thank you.
Drug trafficking and drug trade are a big problem in this area. What could the sheriff's department do different and outside of working hours as a department to try to change things? Because they're already doing the law enforcement and things trying to do with law enforcement. What can you do different outside of the department?
Unfortunately, we live right across the border where the drug trade is just a skip and a jump away. Border violence and drugs is imminent. It's here in the valley. I mean, they're not smuggling across the river, they're going across the intercoastal. What we need to do, we need to be cognizant, we need to make sure our officers are fully trained and equipped to make sure that these drug smugglers, these drug dealers are apprehended and brought to court so that they can serve the sentences that is necessary. There is a lot of money that these individuals are flowing through our area. We need to make sure we get that money back. We need to work along with other agencies, which are local, state, and federal agencies, especially like along the bridges, because I've worked there with them, and we've seized lots of money, millions of dollars, by being cognizant, by being aware of our areas.
I do training on driving while intoxicated, violators for the state, alcohol awareness programs for minors, and drug education programs. It comes down to education. We need to get with our schools, with the department heads of the schools. We need to establish more programs in the school on alcohol and drug-related issues. Okay? The sheriff's office itself needs to increase the drug interdiction program. We need to go out there and catch it out in the field so that we can prosecute the offenders who's giving it to the kids. But we definitely need more education in the school levels. A lot of education, 6th grade up. Thank you.
Mr. Benson, immigration issues are always a hot topic. The most recent debate concerns whether or not local law enforcement should assist with the duties of immigration officers. Please share your thoughts on this debate.
Years ago, we used to. U.S. government came out in the wisdom and said that the local law enforcement agencies down here cannot determine if someone may be illegal or not in this country. Groups of 15 or 20 walking down the railroad tracks, it's pretty obvious that there might be a little issue there. I have nothing against local law enforcement assisting Border Patrol, but they have their hands full as it is now. Not to arrest, but detain and turn over. Okay? Right now, we can't arrest any potential illegal in this country unless he's violating a crime in job. So, Border Patrol's thin. I know you think there's a lot of them out here. There's not. I work the bridges down here. I do approach checks on my guards at the bridges. They're very short-handed. This country needs help. And it needs to get help from anywhere we can get it. Any way that we can help Border Patrol, I believe we need to do it.
Coming out of DPS, we wouldn't stop an individual just because we thought that they were illegal. No, there has to be probable cause once we pull them over. And if we determine that they were here illegally in the United States, we would turn them over to Border Patrol. So, yes, I agree in working with the immigration officers with Border Patrol Customs. But as far as just detaining them and holding them or stopping them for that specific purpose, whether they're illegal or not, I believe that goes back to the immigration officers. So we're going to assist with them. We're not going to hold them just because they are illegal. We're not going to question them or do an illegal stop just because we feel that person may be illegally here in this country.
This question was submitted from a member of our group. It says, currently, Hidalgo County Sheriff is supporting a law prohibiting firing a gun within 3 miles of a school. Is this a law that you would advocate? And what is your take on gun control?
Absolutely. There shouldn't be any guns in school. You know, I don't know why. I feel, should I say first, my condolences to the family of that young man that lost his life. But unfortunately, the officers, in my opinion, they acted correctly. They acted correctly and they managed to do it properly. 3 miles, these hunting rifles, they have a range of about a mile. So I would support that. You know, I don't feel that there should be a gun range unless it's indoor to handle a rifle or any kind of bullet that's going to travel at that distance.
Well, you kind of got me on that when I run a fire range. 3 miles, I would say absolutely. Any school, not only school, but any residential area. You know, firearms go a long way. A 22 rifle go a mile. People get out here and they're taking 50 calibers. How many miles do you have with that? You got 30-06 rifles, long distance with these. 3 miles, I would support that 100%, especially in residential, not only school, but residential areas.
If elected, what are the top 2 major things that you would change first in the Sheriff's Department?
Number 1, reorganization. Get the proper people in the positions. I know we're civil service. We take a lot of effort, but we got to have people in the positions that are there because they have the knowledge and ability to do the job. Not because of who they know or what they know. We need to get policies in effect and enforce those policies to the letter to get the change done that we need to do. Not only on patrol, but particularly in the corrections. In the detention facilities, they need a lot of work, they need a lot of reorganization, and that's the first 2 things I would definitely get on as soon as I want to.
When elected sheriff, the first thing I would do is make sure that these individuals are properly trained. We have a lot of qualified individuals that work with the sheriff's office and that work also within the jail system. What I would do is identify what specialized training these officers have and build certain groups for them. If they're individuals that specialize in crimes against persons, crimes against property, if they got we do have a SWAT team, you know what, these are specialized groups that need to be identified, and we need to make sure they get more training so that we can, and equipment so they can do the right job. The jail also needs to be overhauled. There's a lot of problems within the jail that need to be corrected. I don't agree with anyone sleeping on the floor. That's totally that's totally unacceptable. The jail, I was reading up on it, for the last 10 years was not up to standard. Finally, October the 27th, it just came up to jail standard, minimum jail standard.
Counseling services and prayer services are much needed service for inmates in our detention facilities. Most recently, the services were seized by certain individuals. They weren't allowed to go into the jail system anymore. What are your thoughts on providing or continuing to provide these services to inmates? And is this something that's needed for rehabilitation for our inmates?
These individuals that are in jail need all the help they can get. You know, I believe in God, and He guides us. So these individuals, yes, they committed a crime, and unfortunately, a lot of us have relatives that have landed in jail. These individuals need to be treated as individuals, and we need to make sure that they're not mistreated. There's a lot of gangs within the jail system that we need to make sure that those that are not in jail are protected. I do agree, and I will allow prayer service and the gentlemen and ladies to go in there and provide the biblical training for these individuals.
Under the state jail standards, we are mandated to provide religious services for any religion within the facility, as long as it's not a security violation. I personally have no problem with security. Anyone coming in who would like to give services, once they clear a clearance, there's no reason they should not be allowed into the facility. Counselors are a must, especially drug education and alcohol awareness programs. It's something that's really needed in these facilities. There's nothing wrong, we couldn't establish GED programs for some of these guys who are going to get educated, so when they come out, they have a better opportunity for employment. These are things, again, that need to be dealt with within the jail facility, and there's absolutely no reason anyone should be turned away as long as they have the proper clearances and that to come in.
That concludes our question and answer session. Each of you will now be allotted a 2-minute closing. We'll start with Mr. Josie Snedos.
First of all, I want to say that I'm a public servant. I've been a public servant for 31 years. And this race is not about me, Joseph Snedos. No, it's about us. It's about our children. It's about our community. I have the background, knowledge, training, and I have the spirit to be the next sheriff of Cameron County. 51 years ago on this day today, January 20th, 1961, our president, JFK, said, "Ask not what our country can do for you." He said, "Ask what you can do for your country." Jesus also said, gave us a model for us to follow. He said, the golden rule is do unto others as you would like to do unto you. Ladies and gentlemen, do y'all believe in law and order? Of course we do. That's why we're here. Everyone here believes in structure. That's what makes our government, local, state, and federal work. There's total chaos across the border. And we hear about border violence every day. Omar Lewis says he's not a county employee. He's confused. We need a 24/7 sheriff to protect our children from predators and our community from border violence. A sheriff that stands next to his judges and his officers, providing proper training and equipment to make sure that our community is secure. We need a 24/7 sheriff. I'm Joseph Snedos, a retired APS trooper, and I'm asking for your vote. Joseph Snedos for sheriff. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much.
Unfortunately, this isn't 20 years ago. Law enforcement is something that will be here forever. The laws are changed every day. Laws are changed. Things that affect us as officers and you as the public. My job as sheriff is to make sure that you're safe. Whatever it takes me to do to make sure you're safe, that is my job. My job to make sure my prisoners and detainees are not abused, threatened in any way, shape, or means. My job is to prevent lawsuits from coming onto the county because the officers are not properly trained. My job is to ensure that I'm out there in the field where I need to be. I'm a street officer, been a cop since 1976. That's a lot of years, man. Or somebody say, yes. But I've learned every day of my life as a cop, I've learned what needs to be done. And that's to go out there, simply enforce the laws that are in existence, and make sure that the people are put behind bars that violate those laws. The border violence is something we'll be fighting on forever. I talked to Tom and Evan up in Maverick County, Eagle Pass, talked to a lot up there. Same problems there, same problems in Laredo. I know a police chief in Laredo Independent School District. First day of school, kid walks on campus with an AK-47 rifle. Okay? We have Zetas and these other gang members living right here in this county. What we need to do is enforce and make sure we do the job that needs to get done. I will ensure the people of Cameron County get what they need from my office. My door will be open. If you've got any complaints, bring them to me. Thank you.